They're looking calm and collected down there. Both of them having very good ideas of what they need to do that really boil down to just like do our best, do what we do, do it better than them. What do you guys think of what those players had to say?
I think it's important, right? Like at the end of the day, like confidence is really important. We talk about keeping a level-headed, confident mentality, and in the overall grand scheme of things, when you are coming into these big moments, not only do you have a one-game advantage, and you're not trying to, I guess, let that kind of go away easily. It is something that where sometimes people come in too overconfident, but I do think, respectfully, like they have earned that claim. I think they are at the point where, when they are going into this series, if they start out strong, it could get quite ugly.
Yeah.
But if it does fall back, I think that's where that mental fortitude comes into play, and that confidence that they do have of, hey, we're just mirroring, we're egoing, we're doing our thing. That like overconfidence, I think, is also just as good depending on the circumstance that's provided.
I like what Illinois State had to say where, we're all very good, we just have to come together as a team.
Right.
I think that's very wise thinking where it's like, it doesn't matter what each individual of us does, it matters what we all do together. What does it take to come together as a team at a competition like this?
I mean, just hanging out with your team after hours could be something. It's like those team bonding things. Not talking about the game. I've learned that, like, the more time you spend with your teammates not actually focusing on the actual game that you play together could just bring you guys closer together. That way, like, when something bad does happen, you know how to deal with it in, like, a mature or respectable manner, or you understand that if someone's harping on you from your team and it's not your coach, that's constructive criticism. They're just trying to make you better because your team's only as strong as your weakest link. So if you can create those bonding moments outside of the game, whether it's before the event, after the event, or just at the end of yesterday coming into today, that's something that you can build upon outside, and that helps build chemistry. And that's one thing that I think is really undervalued in esports because people swap teams all the time, and collegiate, they also play pro, so they're going back and forth with these different teammates. That's why Harrisburg, I think, has such great success, is because Tap and Lethal have played together in contenders together, they play here together. It's that camaraderie and that chemistry that they can build outside of the game.
I mean, all of these players, too, we're here in collegiate where a lot of them are kind of big star players on their own, or they've had multiple experiences that they're bringing to this team. And I kind of feel like this maybe speaks to, you have to adjust your play style as well to what your team is doing. You have to not want to be the hero, you have to want to be the teammate, right?
Right, yeah. I definitely have to say, like, not being the hero is like such a big thing because like everyone always wants to play up to, and you see it a lot in ranked, right? Especially from like solo queue players and things like that. Everyone always wants to be the hero. They want to have the cool clip and play moment. Ranked and competitive are two different things, and I think that needs to be said, like, importantly for anybody that's out there that might be considering joining a team or like playing with a team. Playing together, like having those hero moments are important, but they come naturally. There are lots of things that happen when you are playing conducive as a team. You have to understand the boundaries of what your role is and not encroach into somebody else's, right? That's something that is that you have to be able to understand, and working together with that cohesiveness is going to carry you to victory a lot of the time.
Absolutely. You know who's carrying us to victory? Barbasol. Scan the QR code on your screen or go to barbasol.com/Dominion to see all the limited edition Jurassic cans and enter for a chance to win weekly Jurassic-themed prizes, including a Jurassic-sized grand prize. You know what's Jurassic-sized? My love for the casters. Casters, are you down there? Can you take us into this game?
Yes, we absolutely are. Thank you guys so much. This grand finals is getting ready to be an incredible one. We got to watch this match earlier on, but talking about the teams, they're playing fast, loose, flying like aerial aces by the seat of their pants, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
It's going to be great. Yesterday, there was a losers finals taking place, and it was ISU fighting in a reverse sweep to make it to the grand finals today. That already tells how much they wanted to be here and everything that it takes to get to this moment. Now it's all about delivering in this grand finals and see how far they can get.
Yeah, I think they got the mental fortitude to do it. You mentioned that match last night. Dude, it was late that they were playing.
It was so late. And they played 6 matches for ISU since the beginning of the day till end of the day, and they were just grinding. They were just on. I mean, to make a reverse sweep happen at the end of the day, right?
It's got to be exhausting, but we talked about our keys to victory, Microsoft CDU earlier on, and now we get to bring them really into fruition. Harrisburg with Lethal and Tap, and ISU with Vision and Echo, the players that we've been looking at right now as the players to beat here. There have been DPS caps aplenty coming out from Harrisburg, and if you can't get over that hurdle, it's going to be a hard match.
And something that we saw yesterday that was one of the biggest highlights for the side of Harrisburg was that DPS line, right? The way that they were complementing each other. It was Tap getting the opening pick, often with the Echo, and then it was just Lethal absolutely popping up in every single hero that he wanted to play. It's insane what this player is able to do, and a flexibility that, yes, in a way, it's going to be expected for your DPS line, but not everyone can make it happen the way that this guy does it.
Yeah, and our other keys to victory that we were talking about, we brought up what compositions you're playing. Harrisburg, as they were lining up out here to do the walkout, we got to talk to them a little bit about what they want to run. You know, they're just playing it fast and loose, like I was mentioning. But should we see that ball? I worry a little bit for ISU. We saw the effect that Soames could have, the player that you were mentioning to me earlier on, just from these uncontested positions. When you're playing ball against Rush, it's up to the Lucy, up to the Diva, up to your DPS to try and get her. But Soames was making it so difficult, and those anti-nades were absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I just couldn't stop talking about those anti-nades because they were so clean. They were opening up the fight in a composition that is so difficult to run. And again, that is why not many teams want to run it. It requires so much coordination in different parts of the map to make sure you're diving the correct targets at the correct time. And if you don't have the coordination, you're not going to make it happen. That is why the anti-nade was enabling that to happen. Then we see, like we talked about, Tap enabling a little bit more of that pressure, that initial pick in the backline, and everyone else following up. It's so difficult, but they do it to such a high level, to such a beautiful execution that I just want to see more of it.
Yeah, and should we not see those ball comps? It's almost inevitably going to be Reinhardt. It's going to be Rush coming out from ISU, and Harrisburg might just want to mirror it, especially depending on the map, right? We've been taken to Kings pretty much every single time we've been on stream thus far, and should we go back to Kings one more time, I think that'll be the matchup almost guaranteed. And that one was actually pretty close. Despite the 2-0, those Reinhardt games were pretty darn up there. And now as we head into things, it's not likely too much Reinhardt, but they are going to mirror it again here.
And it's going to be this map again. We talked about it yesterday, right? One of the maps that you're having the most difficulty if you're not winning that early fight, recontesting it with the Lucio, with the Wrecking Ball potentially that we get to see late, with the Tracer. There's so many possibilities that are going to delay that point control that the enemy team is going to try to take. So that initial execution has to be perfect. We talked about it. We know that Harrisburg does to such a high level, but what can ISU bring to the table this time around?
I mean, it's got to be Aiko's play, right? Aiko versus Tap, when you're talking about Rhymes with Maze, is all about the initial walls and making space. First one doesn't connect. Good counter wall. Both Reinhardt's in a bit of trouble, but it's Gig who finds the one-way ticket back to spawn. Initially, Akawa taking him down, and the whole comp's going to fall.
And there's an early investment of the Immortality Field, but it pays off at the end. Everyone was protected, everyone playing around to make sure that the kill is going to happen and to make sure that the reset right away has to take place on the other side for ISU. There's no more opportunities, they're going to back up. They're going to change a little bit as we see Aiko going into the Doomfist, wanting to go for the duel 2, but it's going to be especially difficult knowing what Diva is capable of doing, of playing in the backline, supporting that backline and making sure that Elk and Soames is staying alive.
I mean, it's the panic button we were talking about yesterday. You lose a fight, swap Doomfist, problem solved. Seems to be working for Aiko most of the time, but this engagement is a little rough. Moving in past the Maywall, not everybody got in here. ISU does find the first pick. Tap down now, waiting for that Maywall to come back up. They're looking for their advantage, but it's not going to be there. Aiko with charge on cooldown. Lethal dive in. Akawa under a lot of pressure here, but with Lethal going down, the fight's broken wide open. No longer with that big threat that can walk in.
And it's both of the DPS now going down, a pretty good opportunity, but the Soundbeer trying to keep the side alive, and ISU fighting, finally managing to make it work, but this is where things get the most difficult. It's Dagger, one by one touching the point, trying to make something else, and Lethal is back in the game.
Within the Doomfist can do a lot to make this point flip, but it looks like ISU have finally got it. And honestly, as far as Gardens is considered, in pretty clean fashion.
They make it happen fast, and now it seems like there's going to be a pause. It's a pretty good moment, too, in a little bit of slow time with the ultimates that are going to come up next. We get to see Gay has a Shatter. It's ready, available to use at any time, and is going to have to push forward, potentially the bridge, even though a lot of teams, especially EsportsU, they don't like contesting that bridge. You know how risky it is. And when you have a Doomfist 2, right, we saw the value early on, but you can only get the Mei when you have a Baptiste that has an immortality, when you have a Lucio who's just going to get away. The Doomfist is just potentially going for the DPS, potentially trying to put a little bit of pressure while everyone is distracted in the middle of the fight.
Yeah, and I mean, these are arguably two of the best Doomfists that we have here. It's really dangerous to play against either of them. You see how quickly a fight can turn off of the basis of just one punch alone. But when you bring the whole team into the mix, it does become a lot more difficult. People think, Doomfist, just hold right click, let go of it at the enemy team. It's not that easy. Not when there's these players in, not when there's CC. This is not Overwatch 2. It is not as simple as that.
And I've always been very hesitant to see the Doomfist, and I love bringing it up because when it's not working, it's really not working, right? You're just getting taken down. The Doomfist is trying to go to the back line, and it's getting absolutely no value, usually players having to swap. But for these two teams, like you said, I mean, they are in the grand finals. They're able to play a Doomfist to such a high level, and they're also able to get resources for the rest of the team, which is also such a key part of being able to play Doomfist, right? Being able to get in and get out of those fights without getting taken down, making sure that your ultimate is available as well to just run away, to regroup with your team.
Yeah, and looking at this point in general, I want to zoom out and look at what the percentage is like right now, because it's a decent flip for ISU, but Gardens is one of those maps where you can easily take that 0% and turn it into 100 with some good staggers, with a good retake. That was something that we saw ISU doing really well yesterday, was actually measuring how much ability they had to get back into fights that they may not have gotten an initial advantage in.
And it is a back and forth that we get to see early on, and it's always a good indication. It's a map, like you said, we got to see yesterday, we got to see how back and forth it was, but we didn't quite see the 99 to 99, right? It was a little bit of momentum gain towards the beginning for the side of ISU, and then Harrisburg just getting away with it once they were able to play the composition that we talked about, which is also something that I'm waiting to do. But in a scenario like this one, you're just going to be playing for those ultimates, you're going to be playing for those staggers, that 99 to 100%, that it's everything that you need right now. And it's just taking it step by step, right?
Yeah, well, I feel like step 1 is lock May, step 2 is walk out, step 3, die, step 4, swap the Doomfist. Both teams did it. Both teams did it. They refused to swap this. I don't know why they won't just cut the losses, start out on the Doomfist and see how it goes, but it's been the pattern that's kind of revealed itself.
And again, like, it's worked for them, so you can't be against it, but at the same time, you gotta wonder what another possibility looks like, right? Yesterday, we got to see a lot of Cassidy being played. We haven't gotten the chance to see as much Tracer. I'm a fan of seeing the Tracer as well, being able to dive in some scenarios, but we know that Doomfist is going to enable that to happen a little bit faster, getting away, ideally, if you're able to make it, and have a higher potential of having a greater impact for your team, which is towards the beginning, what ISU was trying to do. They lose it, but we look at that, they take control again.
And they take control in pretty good fashion. They've got a lot of ultimates to their name. That's not to say Harrisburg doesn't have anything in their own right.
They have a lot to work with, too. It's going to be a Blizzard to initiate, Shatter as well for Akawa, and these two are going to have an interesting fight. We got to see a lot of those Mei walls blocking that Shatter, so if Tap is able to do that, that's everything that the team needs to recontest here.
It'd be pretty sick, but Deadeye's a pretty good zoning tool on this point, weirdly enough. It's one of the places where you see it find a lot of value, so the Blizzard gets thrown out, and it's really not too much of a problem to deal with for them immediately. I think they got stunned out of the Blizzard. I could be wrong there, though. Soundbear to keep the fight alive. There's the Blizzard. Finally comes out from Tap. React, though, taking down the Immortality field. To the backline they go, and it's a messy fight. Akawa and Gig, though, not really dueling it out too much, each staying on the respective side of the point and waiting for the DPS to really come up. But with the help of an amplification matrix, that's going to be a lot easier for ISU.
Both of the Jupes going down. The ones that we were talking about, it's immediately use all the resources. The cooldowns are not going to help you out, and that is what happens. The point going back to the side of Harrisburg, and they want to take control here, but the fight is not over. Still a little bit of that tension that we get to see instead of ISU. They want to recontest, but they're going to have to wait for the meantime for Gig to come back.
That's a tough wait. It is pretty doable here on Gardens, though. This is the point that we often see stalled out, but at 70%, you're running out of time. Stopping the bomb, everybody's safe, but not Gig. The supports had to pull away, which means there's no healing for the Reinhardt. And immediately, Harrisburg pounce, taking down the main tank and opening up the door for Harrisburg.
And you love to see this Mei, too, compared to even the Cassidy on the other side, right? We talk about ultimates. The one that's going to have the greatest impact every single time is going to be the Blizzard. On the other side, you're not expecting too much. Shatter? Did you see that?
I'm not sure quite where it was going, to be completely honest with ourselves, but there is another Blizzard up on the board, which is just as dangerous as it was before. Trying to dive over. The D.Va or Trigger over time. It's no problem for them, but now they got to figure out how on earth do we want to cross this bridge? Oh, you don't, is the answer. Lethal takes down Eiko. RuPaul down. 4v6 is just not going to happen for ISU. That's Harrisburg taking away the first point.
And the timing there is just rough, right? We get to see a shatter that doesn't connect. It was a little too early coming in for Gig and doesn't get the value that the team was expecting. Kawa on the other side popping off 3 kills that he gets that he's able to get at the end. And he's able to get even more. One of the win conditions that we talked about, and even the analyst was talking about, is keeping that mental, right? So ISU yesterday, they made a reverse sweep happen against Northwood, but when you're going against Harrisburg, it's a team that is really confident, and they're not looking to break that confidence, right? They've been winning everything. They've been in the winner's bracket. They've been winning every single match. ISU, they have a difficult task to have that, to gather that information, to take it into account, and to also believe that it's going to be possible, but you gotta, once again, take those steps one by one and see how much value you can get, because this map didn't go their way.
No, but this one is the one that, if of any, ISU was looking to win. We're going to take things over to Control Center, where the Reinhardts reign true. It looks like Lethal's rolling out on Doomfist, though, versus Visions Cassidy. That's something that we saw happen yesterday as well, and I think they've here up from the high ground. A lot of damage being done, and Aiko just gets burst out of the game, doesn't even get to press that ice block button, and now as Gig takes a quick retreat, the entirety of the team on the back foot, they're going to try and keep as many players alive as they can, but I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it's too many.
They can't even run away. It's just destruction that we get to see one by one. The side of IEC gets taken down. They're going to have to go for that regroup in the meantime. And that is more ultimate percentage on the other side that the side of Harrisburg is able to build, right? Shatter for Akawa coming up pretty soon. And Amplification as well, amazing to create that space. And in the meantime, you just have to play slow. You just have to play reactive for the side of ISU.
ISU with the press in. Gig immediately wants a piece of Akawa. The Amplification Matrix is going to give them space. Someone's actually saving theirs to use it second. Oh, this is we're going on a little trip into the back line here. Yeah, Akawa goes down, and that is pretty much a death sentence. Dodging into a back line like that as a Reinhardt. They'll get taken down, and the cleanup here should be pretty straightforward for ISU. Unless, no, the Blizzard's committed.
The Blizzard's going to be committed, but its value there, Gig is actually able to take it on top. It seems like it could be working out.
Dude, the spawns are back. Akawa's here. This is no longer just like, haha, funny, nice Blizzard. It's the shatter on top. I have no clue how RuPaul didn't get hit with that, but it doesn't seem to matter.
The timing here, the timing for those ultimates, it could have been so much better for that next fight, but they decide to commit, and they decide to force those ultimates too early on. The fight was already over. The side of ISU was already losing. They didn't stand a chance into that when Akawa was back and took advantage of it.
And that nets them the point back in their control. Now Sound Barrier versus Sound Barrier and Amp Matrix. This is a really, really hard fight for ISU to take. They got to play it aggressively, but with a Doomfist on your Reinhardt and a Reinhardt on your Reinhardt, this is not a fun place to be for Gig, as he's getting knocked up, tossed around, and I'm not sure he has any control of his own movement, to be completely honest with ourselves. Aiko out of the way, though, and Gig now down. That fight is won easily.
And you get to see a couple of trades, but at the end of the day, that point still going to be long for the side of Harrisburg. They're ready to get things over with again. It's going to be 90%, getting pretty close. Last fight territory here, unless the side of ISU is able to retake that point, and it's going to be pretty late as we see React just went for that reset.
Yeah, that's a really hard reset, too. I think you got to take this fight 5v6. Yeah, they just have to go with it. Using the Deadeye to zone and move in now. They can use Amplification Matrix to maybe buy themselves a little bit more time after this bomb, but all things said and done, it's a pretty difficult fight. They'll even up the numbers by taking down Soames, and now Akawa has to respect this Reinhardt. You cannot play too fast and too far forward, otherwise the damage is just going to be too much without the help of that support. But no, Gig just gets obliterated. I might be Phil Swift. This might be a Flexio commercial, because my God, that was a lot of damage.
Immediately getting taken down, and it seems like it was even, but now Bishon is trying to do the job, and he will be able to do just that point. Finally belonging for the set of ISU, and Lion and Bishon popping off in the minute when they were needed the most. Also, the timing for React managed to work at the end, right? Because Gig got taken down, React got there at the same time, and was able to play in that front line just when they needed. So now it's all about holding. Can they do that when there's a Blizzard and a Shatter coming up? And Akawa has been so good at consistently landing those.
Yeah, it's difficult. They might be playing 2 fights in a row, sans Reinhardt here in a second, but no, playing aggressively. Gig gets in, speed Shatter, and Akawa didn't even see it coming. They found his blind spot, put a fantastic Sound Barrier, keeps him alive. Lethal's the only one that goes down, but Gig is in a world of hurt, frozen up, charged, icicled to the dome, everything that's uncomfortable about playing main tank in Overwatch, and now Akawa gets to run forward unimpeded by the opposing Reinhardt.
Manages to take down the Baptiste as well, comes back, uses amplification,
Oh.
and is able to put a little bit more pressure. Since this is still even, they can even get more. 50-60% is on the field. Look at that. Kawa has to back up with everyone else. This is just delaying the fight more and more and playing for the side of ISU.
Yeah, Lethal got zoned out or taken down pretty early in the fight, and so despite losing Gig, Akawa and Tap really don't have that much range damage, so Soames is just poking away at him from distance. Divio's doing the same thing, and eventually they just get chipped away at and taken down. Now heading into this fight, it's again lined up, same position. It's going to be the same thing over and over, but they've got to do it for a very long time as now the Amplification Matrix comes out from Harrisburg to zone them up and towards that server room. Again, Lethal being kept at arm's distance. It's all about disabling this Doomfist, and they're going to do so with the sound barrier, moving their way in. They can safely press forward without the worry of that punch. Instead, Eiko delivers it right back to him in spades, taking down Tap and enabling this fight for ISU.
And getting to the 99 to 99, it seems like we're approaching that area. We do get to see the last couple of ultimates trying to get built on this side of Harrisburg, but is it going to happen? Swapping into the Moira has to build coalescence, can do it in that overtime. We know how long these two teams, they want to make it last.
I mean, the other thing, you're looking at Elk 90% to sound barrier. This fight could go that long. It could go much shorter. It's going to be a close call. Akawa, no! Oh, it's disaster for Harrisburg. The Shatter's free. The May is not, trapped in a tiny little icicle prison as ISU take a victory lap around the point. They've just got to be able to find the remainder of these kills. They will take down Elk. Vision goes in the meantime, though, and that's a lot of your range damage, a lot of your consistent damage, so it's going to be a tough job for Eiko here to get in cleanly, but I think with the help of the Amplification Matrix from RuPaul, they're not going to be having any problems.
And coming back, everyone was able to step up and make a difference at the end. A fight that was won right from the beginning. You lose two members of Harrisburg early on, and you know the Gig, the supports are going to take advantage. You can see them. They're stressed out. They want to win this, and they're able to win that control, but it's one more to decide it.
I think that might be the first time we've ever seen somebody shut down Lethal so effectively. Lethal was zoned out of the past like 3 or 4 fights there.
Yeah, but it's also Doomfist, right? At what point are we going to see Lethal playing something?
Yeah, when he just locks in like Bastion and kills 6 people. It seems
like we saw yesterday. Right?
For the time being, at least, the Doomfist seems mildly neutered, if nothing else. And that's a good sign for ISU.
It's none of the Doomfist are having a great time, right? We see them going in, we see them getting out immediately, because if you're not getting that kill right in the first 2 seconds, the value is not going to be anything teleported right away.
Oh my god, just charges out the door. Akawa just concedes his entire health bar in order to concede that of Giggs. They say nobody gets to play with health, but ISU on the point. They get to charge up the Symmetras, and it's all about the Symmetras in these matches. Build up those beams and microwave down the main tanks. Tap and Vision doing exactly that, but Vision takes down Tap, and that's going to mean ISU get to take the point.
We haven't gotten the chance to see the beginning of this map, how those TPs land, but this is now the second time since yesterday that we see ISU winning and getting to that point first, landing that TP just a second faster, and that's really making a difference for them to hold, and even having the barrier to use in the hands of Vision.
Yeah, ISU's rollouts on this map have been, quite frankly, just incredible to begin with now, though. They've got those 2 ultimates, they've got the wall and an Ant Matrix. So many tools to just keep Harrisburg away, which is why Lethal is so helpful. They can take off angles with this Echo, which makes that Amplification Matrix far less annoying. It also makes the wall far less annoying, but it still is just tools that are going to be used to kind of pull time off the clock.
And just delaying that next fight is something that the ISU is trying to look to do, but entering right away Amplification, and immediately the barrier coming up.
Shatter available for either side. The walls make this fight so awkward. This is why we're going to Overwatch 2, ladies and gentlemen. Akawa, though, has effectively zoned it. Oh my god! An MTD for the century. Gig laid on his back. That is a Shatter, not a prediction, not of anything. He sees the shield. He says, I know you're going to drop it. Do it. Pop! Lands down the Shatter.
And with so many things going on, right? Both of the barriers for this Symmetra, the shields as well that you have for both of the main tanks, and the amplification on top of that. So much disaster, but able to get away with it at the end of the day. And that is 2 fights. That is already 70%. That is the problem of a map like this one. You're going to take so long to properly engage, to wait for those ultimates. And even then, you're just relying on Tap and Lethal to make a difference. You're still committing to that Symmetra too.
Yeah, with all these ultimates up. That Symmetra has time now to build up those ultimates. Be careful. Oh my goodness, that was incredible. Gig moves forward, unafraid of the bomb, knowing full well that RuPaul is going to give him the immortality field to hit that shatter on the backline. Absolute insanity from ISU, as the trust between these players is ridiculous.
This is terrifying. Last fight territory over 90%, a little bit more to go. Has a sound barrier to touch in the hands of Oak. Can touch the point here, but the opportunities could be fading away. This is everything that they have to give for the first map.
First map in 99%. Ultimates up. Akawa's coming in with Shatter. The duplicate on Lethal. Sending in a Doomfist, trying to clutch it out. But as the sound barrier from Elk fades, the health bars from Harrisburg get ever lower. Tap is the first to fall, followed by the rest of the team. The Shatter's big, but it's not going to be enough. Akawa taken out of the fight. The overtime wick burning down. And ISU claim their first map on the tournament over Harrisburg University.
It's a good way to start it off. It has you feel good. It's something that they've been looking for so long, and now they make it happen in that first map. It's a really good grand finals that we want to see, and we know both of the teams have the potential to win it, but now it's a matter of proving it, and ISU just did a little bit of a better job towards the end. That last map was all about them, right? Not one percentage that was going for Harrisburg. They were playing so aggressive, right? And they were catching Harrisburg off guard every single time. But Gig was just going in. So many resources thrown into him to be able to do that.
That last shatter was insane.
Yeah.
Out of Gig. Runs forward, knowing full well he would die. He's going to die to this bomb. Just trusts RuPaul to give an immortality field.
Yeah.
And who expects that? Who expects a Reinhardt to just suicide into your backline, eat a bomb damage, all in order to get a shatter onto 3 people? Absolute insanity.
Yeah.
The communication there has got to be ridiculous.
Yeah, and you gotta take advantage of a situation like this one, not only because of the composition that we've talked about that ISU likes to play, which is that Reinhardt, that rush, but also take advantage into this momentum and to the mentality that both of the teams have right now. Knowing that ISU, they've been fighting to get this map for quite a long time. Now they're able to just accomplish that. What can you do next, right? It's going to be a long run finals that they want to make, but they can absolutely make it happen. It's just trying to force a composition like this one every single time, and I think they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, you said, what do you do next? I guess the answer is just hopefully not choke. Keep this thing going. It is Harrisburg's map pick, though, which I think makes things difficult. Harrisburg hasn't had to pick many maps in this tournament, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. But now that they have the luxury, what do you think? Because honestly, we've heard the Harrisburg ego a little bit. But I don't know, after losing a map, you have to feel like it's a little bit bruised. Do they still try to take this thing to something like a King's Row? Do you think they still try and force a Ryan Mirror? Or do you think Harrisburg says, you know what? Maybe you are a pretty good Ryan team?
I would love to see the King's Row again because we know how close it was yesterday, right? It was Harrisburg closing it at the end of the day, but it was making it really, really intense. It came down to just a couple fights in the third and fourth round. So it was a really good possibility for them. I would love to see that King's Row. I think is definitely a possibility here, but I also think it relies on the role of the DPS, and I feel like it's a conversation that we had since the beginning because when we got to see it in this map, we got to see the TPs. It was ISU landing it first, and then you're committing that Symmetra for way too long. That is usually when we see teams trying to swap to something else, to a Cassidy maybe. I mean, there's so many possibilities, often that Echo, often that Pharah too. But when you're not bringing that, you're trying to commit to the composition. It seems like it was for one time playing against what Harrisburg has been trying to bring, which is the complete opposite, right? It's lethal, something's not working, he's swapping. But now it was committing to the Doomfist, committing as well to the Symmetra. At that point, they got to bring what they had yesterday.
Yeah, look, we have to give absolute credit to ISU's DPS line. Vision and Echo did exactly what we asked of them.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a little bit of a weird composition when you're running Symmetra. It's kind of a Lijiang Tower special. It's not often that you get to do that, but the name of the game is keeping your Symmetra alive and microwaving as many people before they go down as you can, and that's exactly what happened. Vision and Echo were enabling one another, making sure that Symmetra couldn't get dove, and pumping out as much damage as humanly possible, so much to the point that they were doing more than that of Harrisburg's DPS.
Yeah. Yeah, they really had an impact from the beginning, and that is those advantages that you can have in a control map like League Gen, right? You can have a lot of impact early on, and you can continue to have it just being a little bit behind and just playing back behind Gig, what we saw them doing over and over again, and that's Symmetra as well, using that ultimate a little bit more proactively in a fight that was so messy, but really made a difference and enable Gig for success again. And I think that's a big win condition because they were catching this set of Harrisburg a little bit off guard.
Yeah, I think you bring actually a wonderful point up when you talk about being proactive, because how many times do we see Redbirds doing exactly that, especially with the shatters? We saw the speed shatters over on Control Center. We saw the crazy Immortality Field. Now as we head on to Eichenwald, I think we could see some more. It's a little bit more of a mixed bag here. Double Shield wouldn't be a surprise, and yeah, hovering the ball, Harrisburg, I think they came to play.
Honestly, Eichenwald, I'm really interested to see the playstyle, because this is a map that we haven't seen for these two teams playing against each other in this tournament. Yet, again, we saw that King's Row, a King's Row that we were expecting, but at the same time, and knowing that it was a Harrisburg pick, knowing the main tank, that rush style that ISU wants to play, they want to bring something new. They want to be able to play a composition that is going to enable them a little bit more, like we talked about. And this is when you're going to be bringing that wrecking ball.
Yeah, and on the other side, it's Double Shield, something that ISU doesn't normally play, but we think back to the lower bracket match last night that was played off-stream, ISU versus Northwood. Weirdly enough, the reverse sweep happened on Temple of Anubis, Havana, and Nepal. All 3 Double Shield maps, so clearly ISU are playing hot on this comp. I think they're pretty comfortable with this map.
Yeah, it's a pretty good way to start it off too, and I feel like one thing that is really good about this kind of ISU is Gig and React playing together, playing off of each other, which is something that you have to have in that tank line. It's something that allowed them to win those losers finals yesterday, and they can win them this map too, but it's got to be starting slow every single time.
Of course it is, and you're looking at Tap. Tap's been the nuisance of pretty much every Double Shield competition, but they make their way forward before Tap ever gets the opportunity to put in that damage. In fact, taking so much space between Gig and React, juggling the shields back and forth in order to push the likes of ISU back, so far so that they lose a couple of players. Elf will have to resurrect, though, to even back up those numbers. Gig is not willing to give up the space, though, remaining steadfast on the Orisa, pushing those twos forward and forcing Akawa to take damage if he wants the space.
You see Akawa backing up for just a little bit, but that's not going to work out. One by one, they get taken down, and it's a beautiful composition to be played. I got the chance to see those losers finals yesterday, and it was insane what the tank line for Giga and React were doing. Like you were mentioning, it can have such a big impact, especially in a map like this one where we often see that full hold taking place. And it's one, at least, even if the full hold doesn't happen, is one where you can delay this push for as long as possible without having a Bob, though. So the situation is a little bit more complex for the defense.
Richard here, the ultimate's going to come in. Bob to zone away. Song throwing up an amplification, but this is going to keep him off the point. This allows Harrisburg to start that move forward, to start to get a little bit more comfortable with things, but that doesn't stop a re-engage from Gig. They flank around the backside and catch out an unsuspecting Elk like a deer in headlights, just falls down. Nothing else you can do about that now, having lost one support to the easy cleanup.
And the Bob never really got to touch a point, never really got to contest it properly, so the full space that the start of ISU wanted to take was never really there. Now, changing compositions, I see Lethal and a Bastion. I see a Bastion. I see a Bastion door.
He's moving uncomfortably far forward. And Echo has a pulse bomb. He can make very quick work of this, or at least force out an Immortality Field.
He has no mobility to run away.
Yeah,
he can't get away.
I'm not seeing the vision. But maybe Harrisburg can help me out here. Moving forward, the stick is immediate. The Immortality Field thrown out, the Bastion drops low, and now Gig with the Bongo in tow can start dishing out the damage. That Bastion cannot peek for free. Bongo down for the other side now. React, RuPaul, and Liar have to be careful about not letting these ultimates. Throwing up a bit of clutch for either side, and things get messy. Reality keep alive. Liar sustaining the entirety of the team up, but Gig gets burned down in the middle of the air. Tanks beginning to fall left, right, and center. It is all about the DPS now, and RuPaul is substituted in as one, putting out insane amounts of shots through that amplification matrix, but just isn't able to find the connection he's looking for as this Bastion was further and further uncontested.
And there was no space, right? That Mortality Field got forced when that first one was going to the Bastion, but at the end of the day, managed to work out a couple of picks, so Vision.
Okay, I mean, they're kind of starting to do it. The Orisa's gone, the Bastion's gone. The teeth are gone. No more teeth on this push, but they do have to switch comps.
Yeah, no, they're going to have to make a couple changes here. Now, Gig is going to be playing that Wrecking Ball 2, even a more as well in the hands of Rupa. They get to try to touch the point in time. There's 30 seconds remaining, so this can work out actually for the defense.
I mean, this is a scrappy comp, but at least they've got a Deadeye to work with, and it looks dangerous. Immortality Field again, forced out early from ISU. Configuration tank will be good for Lethal here, and just gives RuPaul the single barrel from up front, not but 2 feet away from him. Sends a missile into his dome. Tries Trying from the back line, though. Vision does eventually connect onto Elk. And now Harrisburg are beginning to be completely surrounded here. They're stuck in a small ball, which is exactly where Harrisburg wants it, but I'm not sure they have the damage to really follow up on this. Liars trying from the back line, and Aiko can try as they may on the Tracer, but I'm not sure the damage there. Aiko with 2. Another one would be a miracle, but the Sigma's low, and Elucio's here to help him sustain the health bars. Just balancing on a nice edge, but Divio's down. There's no tanks. Taps the last bastion of defense, and Gig is back on ball. Harrisburg have been held to point A on their own map pick.
No way, and you can hear how excited they are. It just doesn't seem possible. A full hold happening, and they have to feel good about it. You see them all excited. It's something that you do not expect in a map that was the choice of Harrisburg, but one by one they make the difference. Here was Lethal trying to play a Bastion. It got a good amount of picks, but it was never enough. It was always in a map that benefits hiding in those corners so much that you only had 2, 3 on the side of ISU, and that made all the difference. Liar, Vision as well popping up, got 3 kills into that last fight.
Absolutely nuts. Aiko came in, cleaned up 3 on Tracer.
So nice.
ISU's here to clutch, dude. They're here to play.
Wow.
We called out Vision and Aiko. We said you have to outplay Lethal and Tap. They're not even going even. We said you can go even, and you might be able to pull this thing off. They've diffed them 2 maps in a row, assuming they can do this.
I don't know what happened last night instead of ISU, but they found something that they never found before, and it's working out so well. Now we have to see what they're able to do on the attacking side. I want to see the commitment as well as that aggression. We talked about the initiation that Tap is able to have, but now when he's on the defense, I want to see Echo being able to step up and be able to get that opening pick, then also having a little bit more of support for Vision that had such a good round as we got to see early on. But now it's a lot of pressure, but it's also a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, 4 minutes, it's plenty of time. First point gap is pretty standard here. And Vision, I love this swap as well. The Hanzo, basically, I mean, 1 stray arrow could ruin this whole hold. If Soames walks across the wrong street and catches a log to the head, you're already in an awful position and a losing one at that. Lethal playing on the Ashe, looking for that more consistent damage, not necessarily needing those bursts quite as much. And the Dynamite will help put in a lot of damage. Same with Aiko, firing shots over top is pretty successfully. They're taking space, and there's that arrow we were talking about. Vision taking down Elk. Vision does go down to their own right, but Spawn is closer. Makawa having to back around the clock tower now as React pushes their way forward alongside Gig. These shields ever looming over the top of Makawa and Divio, who just feel like they're constantly being pressed back time and time again. Got to help the DPS though. Gig does have to be careful. Vision should be coming back in a couple seconds, and Lethal's down. Now a huge damage advantage for ISU as they get back into this one. RuPaul, in fact, even getting in on the action. Lethal, having been rezzed, will be able to put in something from the high ground, but I think that's all she wrote. The fat lady is singing over Eichenwald.
And it all started with Elk getting taken down. Elk getting taken down means that the Echo is not going to have as much healing as possible, has to play back, has to play more passive, and you need this Echo to be playing aggressive in a situation like this one. Is not going to work out. And yes, we're seeing this, right? ISU gets that second map. It was a full hold and a single fight on the attacking side that made it possible.
That was absolutely ridiculous. Okay, we went from Harrisburg waiting till like even to win. Okay, 2-1 on the control point to full hold. What kind of exponential? You can see it on the faces of ISU. They can hardly believe it themselves.
They have to be feeling good, and they love to see it as well. It's what we expected in grand finals, right? Those surprises, those maps that we haven't seen from them before, that we haven't seen from them. That means that it's a lot of mysteries, a lot of questioning what is going to happen, how this double shield is actually going to be played. And it was in such a beautiful way, initiating and playing a little bit more aggressive. Yes, you're going to be defending, but you see how the shields for the Sigma and Gig are able to allow them to push forward, to enable the DPS to get the kills, and to enable a situation like this one. It's definitely something that I was not expecting.
Yeah, the U.S. Air Force replay shows us all here. Gig's hyper-aggressive Orisa enabled by their off-tank as well. Shout out RuPaul, who was probably putting in 10k per 10 on the Baptiste. Absolute absurd amounts of damage coming out from the support lineup of ISU. Everyone is working here, and you guys saw when we were looking at the player cams, the whole team smiling, but more importantly, Gig smiling. This team lives and dies by this man. And we saw it last night when they were playing up against Northwood. This team is so momentum-based. When they get going, though, and when they're all smiling, and when the morale's up, all the cards align.
And they have that. They already have 2 maps here, and they can make something like this happen. It's just like you said, keeping that mental up, keeping up any possibilities, any map. And it's going to be a map pick coming in for Harrisburg again, but
well, that didn't work out too well for him last time, did it?
Exactly. It didn't work out. So what can be expecting for them? Because that rush, Gig is able, and Gig and the side of ISU is able to enable it in such a good way. And now the double shield too. And the potential next map that we get to see, that is going to be a 2CP.
Which feels like you kind of have to go the same direction. There's not, I mean...
It's going to be a similar composition, probably, that you can force at least for ISU.
Yeah, there's very few places where you can force like a dive or a ball matchup that
It's
isn't
uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable.
Exactly. Like, even if there's a place where you can throw here, where you can play ball, right? The likes of Hanamura, pretty much a lot of the 2CP points, you can just play ball, send the ball to points on the tracer point, yada, yada. But the defense is always going to have that option. Even when you switch sides, you still have the option. You can play the rush, you can play the double shield. You're really just trying to enable yourself with this map pick more than anything else when you're talking about 2CP or Assault.
And I want to see what is going to be brought to the table here. The map is going to be the most interesting, right?
Yeah, we're going to be finding that one after a quick little break. It is halftime. We have seen 2 maps. This has not gone to script, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eyes glued to your screens and your jaws planted firmly in your seats, because we'll be right back.
Have to go bigger.
Come back.
I always come back.
Barbasol, limited edition collector's cans. In stores now. Capture them all before they're gone. See the movie. Rated PG-13.
I always loved video games growing up. I knew that I had a talent.
A phenomenal play from King Stump himself.
I worked tirelessly to game,
Stump is taking over.
to stream. So I'm talking about to produce content, not only to keep the fans happy, but to set the standard.
Why we call him one of the best players on the game right now.
So that the next kid coming up will see the work and want to push harder, and maybe even further.
Looking for a new job? Your local McDonald's restaurants are hiring now with career development opportunities, competitive wages, paid time off, flexible schedules, and perks such as employee meal program, tuition assistance, and a free college degree program. Start building your future today at careers.mcdonalds.com. That's careers.mcdonalds.com.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's all good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should.
Whatever gets you talking. Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Whatever gets you talking. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
So you want to join the war against cancer? Well, good news, creators. Now you can fight back while you stream. Thanks to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, the world's largest nonprofit in the war against blood cancer.
I'm feeling good. All right. I'm here with the host of the CECC, Paulie, right here. Good, brother. What's going on?
Yes, so we are here with Drink Control. You know, if you guys don't know, I am a gym rat when I'm not in my esports clothes. So let me show you how to make a nice little protein shake here. They got almond milk, my favorite. Check this out. We're gonna put about 10 ounces of almond milk. We have their lovely cookies and cream meal replacement here. You know me, I'm a big boy. I need 200 grams a day, so I'm going for 2 scoops. There we go. 2 scoops. Let's shake it down and drink it down, baby. Drink Control, the official meal supplement replacement of the Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup. Let's see what it tastes like. You better not do me wrong. Woo! I'm feeling good! Woo! Ah! Drink Control, official meal supplement replacement of the Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup.
And welcome back, everybody. A quick halftime to get through things, but it is only quick at that. I think enough so that ISU could maybe maintain some of this momentum.
Yeah, they have the potential to do it. They just won 2 maps at the grand finals, which is
I can't believe
absolutely
this.
insane. It's insane what we're watching right now. But then again, Harrisburg, an amazing team, was able to win 2 maps against ISU yesterday. So now it's a matter of resetting the mental a little bit, seeing what you can do different, and also knowing that you still get to choose a map.
Yeah, I don't think I am understating this when I say that Harrisburg have pretty much spanked everyone that they've come up against. It has not been close. This is a completely unexpected result from ISU. Not only winning on Rush, winning on Double Shield as well while playing against the Ball Cup. They beat the Double Shield comp. They did everything that they need to. They even swapped the ball for that stall and managed to win a couple of fights. This is absurd play from them coming out. They're showing us compositional diversity, and they're playing well on everything. We're taking things down to Dorado. It is map and match point here for ISU, and it's Harrisburg, of all people, on the ropes.
The defense here is going to be in the side of ISU, and I see an interesting composition already catching my attention. A Gig on the Ariza, React on the Diva, a composition that we already got the chance to see in this tournament, but a composition that we don't get to see as much. And I feel like we haven't gotten the chance to see this interaction between the Diva and between the Ariza as much for this team of ISU, which should be interesting because you're going to be looking forward to those DPS in the up angle for Echo, and putting that pressure as well in the front line for Vision, and just having that support with Gig and React, being so aware of what can happen and what this attacking team can bring, because I see Lethal on Sombra too.
Yeah, that's a scary, scary thing. We've seen this ball competition play before, but now you've got some more solidified win conditions with Lethal Sombra that they get to set up as well. You know they mean business. Harrisburg coming out full meta. They've locked in the Zen Brig. A lot of the time we've seen them run something like a Mercy Ana or a Mercy Baptiste. They will bring out a Baptiste for a little bit more sustainability getting through this point. I think they recognize that they don't need the Brig because they're not really going to be dove at all. Instead, Eiko would just kind of free farm that character. So making a Y swap as well, and with the cart pushing up here, this is fairly expected. Everything is going to plan thus far for Dorado for both sides. What matters is kind of watching for the timing that Gig drops here and when the team wants to group up on the low ground.
Yeah, they're going to wait just enough so that the payload gets to stop in time in this choke, where they're able to take advantage of the architecture of the map itself to get those angles and to get that shield a little bit more protected, which is always nice to see for this team. So yeah, the payload finally gets to slow down, but the pressure from the different angles as well. You're going to have that Mercy, that Echo flying and playing together.
I think it's a fantastic part, right? Echo has to deny top, but Echo is pocketed by Liar, which enables them to keep these guys a little more clear, to keep the flanks clear, though not clear forever. The Immortality field is eventually forced out. It does give Gig just enough time to pull that shield back up, and oh boy, is Akawa in a lot of trouble. Tap this by Echo, and now it's a fight 4v6 for Harrisburg, but it's not looking too hot.
During the interview, ISU mentioned that they have the individuals, but now they have to play together, and this is something that they're doing even in the competition, right? The big difference
Whoa!
there. There's an EMP.
What?
There's an EMP.
We EMP'd to kill Echo, I suppose, which is fair enough. It gives you a one-man advantage, and now they have to try and follow up on that. Slam in, RuPaul's the next one in their sights, and nicely followed up on. Sometimes it's not about getting the biggest ultimate, it's about just taking down the one player and giving yourself enough of an advantage to wedge your way into the fight.
And it's a difficult one still, but one by one, it seems like the setup of ISU will be taken down. The timing seemed a little bit off, right? Because you can see them coming back. Lethal and Akawa, they're down.
I've seen RuPaul do this before. I've watched this 3K Baptiste happen. Throwing in an Immortality field, I believe, to enable a res here? No, I think they're just throwing it in to make sure that Mercy's safe, so no big deal, but a great retake.
I'm still not a fan of that EMP, but now trying to commit early on for this defensive setup as everyone is able to come back alive. Tap putting the pressure, no one has seen him yet, and a Transcendence also that is forced.
It got forced out, and now there's so many more ultimates coming up for ISU. They've even got an Amplification Matrix. It is nothing, and I mean nothing, especially with the ball going down. React gets a nice eat on the pulse bomb. It feels like Harrisburg can get no foothold.
And they're playing a lot slower compared to what we've seen from them before, where they're constantly building those ultimates. Sure, Akawa's going to have the minefield, but what can you do with the minefield? That space alone is not going to be enough for this team. The time can be running out. It was 4 minutes, now it's down to about a minute remaining by the time the fight actually starts, and then you start to worry because those 4 ultimates can be available. RuPaul can initiate here.
That's the big opportunity. RuPaul can play aggressive. We've seen ISU do this the entire time. 60 seconds, not quite final fight as we get past the 50-second point, but pretty dang close to it. Lethal with the EMP has got to connect, and I see a whole lot of players, but it's pretty hard to hit a lot of them. Hits 3, that's the tanks and the Tracer as the bombs thrown into the backline. They do have peeling opportunities here, and React will have the bomb in order to get the remake. In fact, there's hardly an engage from Harrisburg. They try to take away this small room, but Gig still remains true on the cart. The space hasn't truly been taken. Now stuck in a small room. This is the last place your dive composition wants to be.
Oh, you gotta reset quick because there's less than 30 seconds remaining here, and the tension is on. Lethal was able to build 2 EMPs, but now the pressure to get something else done, changing to going into hands, so going for a desperate opportunity, for a desperate opening pick to make sure that at least you can make it for this first checkpoint.
Desperate's the right word, but RuPaul is going to be dodging logs left, right, and center like a lumberjack in a very angry forest. Divio looking for a dive, and Akawa's down again! The first gone in the fight just doesn't get to do anything. Top of the pulse bomb in a dream could give this team an opportunity, but React can sniff it out. Look at this defense matrix. Knows exactly what's coming. The stick still does eventually land, but the Immortality field's still up. RuPaul's holding on to so much. They layer that on top of a rally. This fight's as good as done. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been beautifully played by ISU. A clinic after what was a beatdown against them yesterday. They've come back for revenge in full held on Dorado.
I can't believe what we're watching. I can't believe my eyes. It's just ISU holding, not even allowing that first checkpoint to go on the other side. And it's such good control that they're having. It really seems like the side of Harrisburg, it's going into those fights, committing ultimates. Their communication does not seem to be on point as we got to come yesterday. And this is causing them very, very long fights that are not ending up the way that they're expecting.
I mean, I think ISU are just bringing something to the table here that nobody's expecting. The coordination is off the roof. I think that Des mentioned it with the interview, and just how, hey, you know what? We've got all the right pieces. If they fall into the right place, this puzzle is solved. Not only have they fallen into place on Reinhardt composition, they've come to fruition on double shield and ball as well. Double shield, which got them through the match last night against Northwood, probably the most prolific double shield team here. They are just turned on ever since like midnight last night. I guess Cinderella's come home to the ball.
And playing under pressure as well, knowing that they were able to adapt into what we saw yesterday against Northwood, and now being able to adapt into a rematch that is happening at the Grand Finals to full hold to full stop that payload, not getting that first checkpoint, and getting even more to work with on this attacking side. Now, it's going to be a little bit more risky to take. I know the Gig is going to go for the hook, see if he's able to land something. Usually, I haven't seen one of those landing in a while.
No, it's been a hot minute, but we got to talk about the compositional swaps over here from Harrisburg. Normally, you know, I would consider it just their flexibility. They can play whatever they want. It feels like they can play everything. But right now it looks like scrambling. Right now it looks like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing if it sticks. We swapped over to Winston Dive, and Lethal has brought out what has become his signature Genji at this point in the weekend. So is playing on that Ana where they've had so much. This is all of Harrisburg giving it everything they've got to try and hold ISU out.
And you have to hold close. I mean, you have no other chance here on the side of Harrisburg to stand a chance into this one, trying to build a blade. Already Antonade connecting pretty well, forces Gig to back up, and he's actually committed to that Roadhog.
Yeah, and of course that Immortality field as well, but remember, with the Roadhog, as Mimi as it is, all it takes is one hook. Akawa catches the wrong end of it, but Divio will get them out, build them out of that situation. Lethal going down to the back line, though. This is exactly why Liar is playing on the Brigitte. You can peel away so much of that dive. Echo now beginning to climb bit by bit over the top of Harrisburg. They get into the back line and they keep that cart moving forward.
And on the other side, right, they're just trying to enable this Genji for success, but Lethal gets taken down early on. Soms now does have the nano, but the time is running out. This is one more fight for them.
So
and it's also a support line that is such at a big risk all the time. Brupel is going to be having that amplification to use, having a good momentum to work with. This could be one more fight for the grand finals.
Everything on the line. Giggs hunting in the back line, looking for a Winston. He may have caught him out. It's so close, just barely getting out alive. Akawa survives with half a health bar. RuPaul restabilizing with the help of an amplification. Make sure the Lethal's back in. He's got his signature blade, looking for one, looking for Echo on the Echo, hunting him down with the trace of the focusing beam, not able to find anything, and thus ISU kept at bay. In fact, throwing in a couple more ultimates, the Dragon, I'm not so sure about, but Vision is, and he can see the Vision as Tap goes down, and they find themselves a way back in the fight. Gig is going to be able to take a breather here in a second, but ultimates are coming up for either side. It's a complete mess, a clown fiesta on the point, but Vision remains true. He's 20-20 all the way to the finish line. Winston in, he can throw out a Primal Rage, but all this is stalled. There are no more tools to end this fight left in Harrisburg's pockets. It is now or never.
It's a rally that is being invested too, but gets slowed down just for a little bit of Echo, and the duplicate doesn't work as long as they want it to, and once again the support's being able to make it work.
They keep him live, bombs up in the air, Echo looking for picks onto a call. The main take now down, the sustainability lacking here for Harrisburg. React coming in and chase down Soames. That could be it. Gig triumphantly pushing them off the point as they can chase sweet, sweet victory and the greatest upset of the Overwatch bracket. Illinois State University are your CECC 2022 champions.
Yesterday it was close, but today is the victory for ISU. They were trying since the losers bracket, playing 6 matches yesterday, playing that one match today, the one that mattered the most, the grand finals, and they're able to get away with the #1 spot. You see them celebrated, and they have to be feeling good. It's something, it's a rematch that they wanted, and they knew that it was possible.
We just watched the stars align. Every single player, every single role, all we got out of ISU all weekend long. Rush, rush, rush. Turns out, you know what? They switched to the double shield. You know how much I can't stand this competition, but you know what? Sometimes you die a hero, sometimes you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And on top of that, win a fat stack of cash on top of it. It's probably worth it.
It's insane, honestly, the compositions, and we talked so much about the rush, but today was not about the rush, was about the double shield that was working so well, was about the Orisa, was about the Diva as well, and made such a big impact. Everyone connected, everyone playing together. You said it in the interview early on, what they needed. They already had the individual skill. Now they had to play as a team, and this is something that they did perfectly at the grand finals today.
Yeah, it wasn't just one puzzle piece falling into place. It was all
everything.
6. Every player was popping off. Vision in that final fight was incredible. Giggs Orisa was ridiculous alongside React when they were playing over on Eichenwald. Look, we cannot say enough good things about RuPaul right now. RuPaul, throughout this series, has been almost out DPSing the entirety of his lineup, and my goodness, was it impressive. ISU with an amazing display. Let's go ahead and send it on up to our desk to break it down.
Thank you so much. Wow, congratulations to Illinois State on a convincing series. Blue, you were just saying Lethal got shut down,
Yeah,
huh? You think that's what happened?
Yeah, it's definitely what happened. We said Echo or Vision, one of the DPS, or both of them had to step up. What was actually super interesting about both of them stepping up for the side of ISU is that we look at Gig on that tank and we say, okay, Gig's going to do all of this great stuff. They're going to try and shut Gig down so these DPS duos can kind of open up their skill box and just go crazy because Gig is going to draw most of the attention.
Right.
But it's like they were just working as a cohesive unit so well together because if Gig was going off, everyone kind of turns their attention towards Gig and then it leaves those DPS open and then they started popping off and then they have to go back. The other thing that was really impressive is that the whole team said, listen, yesterday we saw Lethal playing whatever he wanted. We're not going to let that happen. We're going to let him play whatever he wants, but we're going to shut him down. It's kind of like watching a double team in basketball just over and over and over again. Or like if you're a football fan, you just see that QB spy on a mobile quarterback 24/7. They always have an eye on Lethal. So he couldn't be very lethal, and all that pressure kind of fell onto Tap. And another thing is that Elk was doing a great job, but I think that So Ames was the one who had to carry most of the weight. Those immortality fields were coming in clutch. Like it stopped like 2 Cassidy ults, it stopped a Diva bomb like 4 times. But the problem is that those plays are coming at great moments, but the rest of the team was just kind of falling apart behind that because, yeah, you stopped those ults, but what were you doing so correctly yesterday was using so many little tiny pieces of your utility and getting the most success out of it. So ISU said, we're going to do that, and then the mirror comps came in, but it was the mirror comps that were winning for DPS.
I think that we're very close to our trophy presentation sponsored by New Street, so as soon as I get the word, we'll head down there. But I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Barbasol. Remember, you can scan that QR code on your screen or go to barbasol.com/Dominion to see all the limited edition Jurassic cans and enter for a chance to win weekly Jurassic-themed prizes, including a Jurassic-sized grand prize. That's what these teams are winning today, too. This is a big deal. And let's go ahead and go down to the trophy presentation sponsored by Barbasol.
So exciting. I am with our champions, Illinois State. You just won the grand finals, Gig. Tell me, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm happy for the boys. We worked hard, and after the reverse sweep against Northwood yesterday, I knew this game was ours. We were just in the mentality, hungry, and just ready to take what's ours.
Such a hard-fought battle, and RuPaul, we definitely got to talk about his performance.
Oh, he played great. You know, yesterday, I don't know, but today he put the team on his back, and couldn't be more happier and proud of him.
Is there anything you want to say to your teammates?
Shoot, they already know what I say. I love them, baby. Come on.
I love it. Anything you want to say to the fans at home?
I just want to thank everyone that's watching us. I know it's been a long year for Redbirds, but I'm happy we ended it on a good note, and thank you for coming out and always supporting.
And now we're going to move into our trophy ceremony. I would like to welcome to the stage Angela, Todd, and Ray. They are with our presenting partners. And Angela, I know that there's something that you would like to say to the team and everyone watching at home.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Angela Bernhard-Thomas, Executive Vice President of EsportsU. On behalf of the event producers, CSMG, EsportsU, and Skillshot Media, and our presenting event sponsors, Microsoft and CDW, and our trophy sponsor, Barbasol, we'd like to congratulate Illinois State University, their victory at CECC Atlanta 2022, and also congratulate the MVP, Gig. Thank you.
All right, let's give it up for Illinois State!
MVP is going to be Gig. What do you guys think went into that decision?
I mean, it makes sense with what Blue's been saying the whole time. Yeah. I mean, you talk about being able to pull the focus of an entire roster on you, and it opens up so many opportunities. They talked about this, and we talked about it in our pre-show, is the ability to not only keep the mental strong, but also find ways to do this as a team. They knew individually they were all performing quite well, but this was a truly cohesive unit. The ability to say, hey, I'm going to pull aggro over here, you guys are going to get free DPS over here, and we have the backline still evolved.
Yeah, I think that's actually something, I'm so glad that you actually mentioned that, because like watching the game and seeing how these boys were playing, I mean, we see like the double Symmetra walls placed up on Lijiang Tower. One of them goes down and then immediately you're expecting the Reinhardt shatter, which is exactly what they thought. The Lucio sound barrier was absolutely insane. He dropped the shield, baited out the ultimate, and they actually ended up clutching that out and forcing them off of the point. I mean, once again, you see how happy it is they are. They deserved every last bit of what they got.
And Harrisburg coming in 1 up, and then Illinois State goes to win 3 and the entire thing. To what do you attribute that momentum, Blue?
Oh, man, like Gig said, they were just feeling it mentality-wise, momentum-wise. The goggles were a little blurred today. Maybe it was the suit. The color combo probably gave Harrisburg the bad juju, but I mean, if you go back and you look at that Lijiang Tower game where it all really started, and it started to just, it's like an avalanche, like a snowball, just getting bigger and bigger for ISU. The only difference in one of those rounds was one hero. May for Harrisburg and Cassidy for the other side, but it wasn't even those two that made the difference. It was Doomfist on both sides, and Echo on Doomfist was going crazy. The ult charge was just going and going and going. They were getting it so fast and so often, and they were making plays with it because Gig was opening everything up. And if you can open the map up as a tank, especially a main tank and not just an off tank in that off lane like I was talking about yesterday, if you can do that, then the world is yours and it's your team's, and they took full advantage of that. And they made mistakes, of course, but they didn't allow Harrisburg to capitalize off of those mistakes, and they were taking full advantage of the mistakes that Harrisburg was just allowing to happen to them. Again, they shut down Lethal, and that put a lot of pressure on Tap. Divio didn't play as well as they did yesterday, and Akawa tried, I mean, especially in that last game on Dorado with the Winston at the end, was going crazy. I mean, the monkey was beating the chest and smacking people around like ragdolls.
No frozen calls today, but plenty of banana jokes coming out.
Yes,
my boy.
yes. Crazy good play.
We talked a lot about momentum and about how it feels to be one team or another coming up from a lower bracket or having waited a while and cooled down from a winner bracket. Do you think that came into play here at all?
Definitely a little bit of momentum. I think Illinois had the ability to, when they did that lower bracket, as soon as they got that reverse sweep, I think they had it mentality-wise, like, this is ours. Like, if we can get through Northwood in a reverse sweep, nobody's going to beat us.
And that's exactly what was said too, right? Like after yesterday, they were like, we knew what we were about today. Like that reverse sweep is exactly what set us into motion today, and it showed, right? Not a single game dropped, and I think that's so absolutely important to be able to have something like that.
It was so touching to see, you know, they know what I'm going to say. I love them, baby. Come on. Like that speaks to what we were talking about with teamwork earlier, where there's two sides to it. There's the side that's, you know, strategically and player-wise, we need to have a really good cohesion, but also, like you said, spending time with your teammates, having confidence and trust in them. What did you guys think of seeing something like that coming out of this final?
Always, yeah. Like it always, at least for me personally, like I know what that's like to have teammates like that. Like it always warms the heart to be able to see something like that, right? I think that's so important. Like friends first, teammates second. I think that makes such a powerful combo, and that's always so important to be able to see that. I love seeing people get excited when they win something like that.
I was going to say, Fawn and I, we've done 2 events this year together. This is our second one this year together. So, you know, we don't play esports on a team, but we talk about esports together on a desk, so we kind of have that chemistry outside of doing this, and I think that helps us, and it helps them more. Or maybe, you know, Gig just had some really good almonds and peanuts at 2 a.m. Last night. I mean, I don't know.
What? Is that what it takes? Is almonds and peanuts?
Listen, I love protein, and that protein was looking good for him. So, in all seriousness, though, I mean, Echo, Vision, both of them could have taken the MVP. Gig respectfully deserved, and I'd like to see. He had a little bit of a stint in the Overwatch League last year, or, you know, in his past. Serious consideration for him to be in it again, if not a really good contenders team. One of the academies. I mean, you got Lethal and Tap on Boston. You've got Elk on Fusion. Gig can be on either one of those teams or someone else and take a contenders team all the way, or have them contend, right? And he's totally up here for Gig.
That's worth talking about, that when we think of collegiate esports, yes, there's the prize pool, there's the honor, there's taking back a trophy to your school. That's all really cool. But that's also maybe the beginning of something else, like a pro career or going into esports somehow. what would you say to players having just won a tournament like this? What advice would you give them, or what encouragement would you give them?
I mean, I look at Gig and I see the way that he holds himself and he carries himself as a professional. Not only is he here to, talk the talk and be like, yo, I am that good, but you see the other side of it as well immediately. Like, my teammates know, I love them. Like, that kind of stuff carries a long way. When you're an IGLer, you're that big proponent of your team to be successful. You're pulling all the aggro. You're doing the heavy lifting. He's got that protein for a reason. But it is one of those where when you see that, but then you see the other side, the personability and all that kind of stuff too, like he's increasing his own personal value, not by doing it in a direct way. Just by being a good person, by working hard and, carrying it as a team, that is going to say, hey, you are this vocal leader. You are also this really good tank main. We need you. And we know the other aspects, the macro game outside of it is going to carry through with you as well. It's huge value for him.
Absolutely. Now, remember, we have some amazing sponsors who've been taking such good care of us. I want to say shout out to LLS. Their mission is to find cures for blood cancers and improve the quality of life for patients and their families. In need of information to support a loved one in the midst of their blood cancer journey? Visit lls.org to learn about their support resources. Don't forget to do that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have Rocket League for you. Stay tuned.